Hello boys and girls, today we're going to be talking about rounding decimals. First of all, what is a decimal? Let's say I have 0.5. That is read as 5/10. How do I know that? Well, anytime you have a decimal, to the right of the decimal, the first place is called the tenths, the second place is called the hundredths, and the third place is called the thousandths. What that means is that if I were to put a 5 right here, 5/10 means that I have 5 out of 10 pieces. I have part of a whole. If I was to put a 5 right here and a placeholder, that means I have 5 out of 100 pieces. So, anything to the right of a decimal is a part, or also known as equal pieces. Anything to the left of a decimal is a whole number. So, you have your decimal. On this side of the decimal, we have whole numbers, and on this side of the decimal, we have parts of a whole. So if I have 5/10, do I have a whole thing? Do I have the whole pie or the whole cake? No, I only have part of the cake. You can see if I put a placeholder right here, I have 0 whole. I only have part of something, okay? And we know that this is read as 5/10. That means that I have 5 out of 10 pieces. So my whole is cut up into 10 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 pieces that make the whole, but I don't have the whole. I only have 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5/10. As you can see, it falls between 0 and 1. Okay? Now, let's say I have 1 and 9/10. That falls between 1 and 2. Okay, I have 1. In fact, I almost have 2. It would be right about here. This is 1 and 9/10. And let's say I have 2 and 2/10. That number would be between 2 and 3 on the number line. And since it's 2 out of 10, it would be closer to 2. 2 and 2/10. Now, sometimes we round these numbers, just like when your parents are talking about time. Like if you were to ask your parent, what time is it? Say it's exactly 12:57. Normally, your parents won't say it's 12:57. Usually, they'll just round it to 1. They'll round it to the whole hour, okay? So let's say I have 1 and 9/10 of something, and I want to just round it to the nearest whole. Well, as you can see, 1 and 9/10 is closer to 2. So if I was to round 1 and 9/10, it would round to 2. Okay? There is another way of doing this. You don't always want to draw the number line. So what you can do is, if you want to round to the nearest whole, when I say the nearest whole, I mean the ones place. Okay? You can put up your door, and I say, "Who's that knocking on my back door?" 5 or more. Since this is 5 or more, we let it score. So if you're playing baseball and you score a run, if I have 1 run and I score a run, I would now have 2 runs. And all the digits on the right turn to 0. If there's digits on the left, they stay the same, but there are no other digits on the left. So as you can see, you can either draw a number line to find your answer, or you can use the rounding steps. You get the same answer, 2, and this is also 2, okay? Now let's look at 2 and 2/10. 2 2/10, as you can see on the numbered line, is also closer to 2. Let's check with our steps, see if our steps work. We're going to round to the nearest whole. Put up your door. Who's that knocking on my back door? This time it's 4 or less. Let it rest. So you just leave it alone. All the digits on the right turn to 0. If they're digits on the left, they stay the same. So as you can see, our steps worked. Now what happens over here with 5? 5 is right in the middle. It looks like it can go either way. Well, anytime we are right, when we have 5, when we're right in the middle, it's always better to round up. Okay, so let's round to the nearest whole. Who's that knocking on my back door? 5 or more. Let it score. All the digits on the right turn to 0. So as you can see, it does round to 1. Now, are we always going to round to the nearest whole? No. Let's say I have 549 thousandths, and I want to round, for some reason, I want to round to the hundredths place. Tenths, hundredths. Put up your door. Who's that knocking on my back door? 5 or more. Let it score. So score run, you go up. All the digits on the right turn to 0, and digits on the left, see there's a digit on the left, stays the same. So 549 thousandths is between 540 thousandths and 550 thousandths, but it's closer to 550 thousandths. Would it have been easy to draw a number line for this? No. So it's better just to use your rounding steps. Okay? So boys and girls, when rounding, you use the same steps as we learned yesterday with the whole numbers. You underline the place value. You put up your door. You look at your next door neighbor, who's that knocking at my back door, and that neighbor tells you what to do with the underlying digit. If it's 5 or more, you let it score, goes up. Okay? If it is 4 or less, so if you look back here, it's 4 or less, you let it rest. You leave it the same. All the digits on the right turn to 0, and if there are digits on the left, okay, they stay the same. Make sure that you follow these steps, and if you have questions, ask me. Get practice with the next video, and practice your worksheet.